Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When we were trying to get this podcast off the ground, we had a lot of questions. How do we record an episode? How do we get our show into the apps that people like to listen to, like Spotify and Apple Podcasts? How do we make money from our podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. So, if you've always wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
Okay, looks like it's recording.
All right.
Bubs, you ready? She ready. All right.
She ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go.
Perfect. We live.
Are you ready now?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Everything fucking sucks, but not champagne. So I don't start coughing again.
What is happening, peoples? First of all, sorry we were away for a hot second there.
It's my fault.
Yeah, she came down with some bronchitis. And
she contracted the herp.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, y'all. So she couldn't talk without coughing, and I had some stuff happening yesterday, and so we're a little behind, but we're gonna make it up to you.
I sure thought for real that I was gonna be good, and then the first thing we did was turn on the mics, and I started to cough.
Yeah. I don't think it was recording.
Oh,
so,
good.
Yeah, I asked her if she was ready. She's like, "Yeah, I'm ready."
I thought I had a sinus infection, and I did, but then I got bronchitis, and then it all took a sharp shit.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, but hey. We here now.
She's alive.
Yes, we're here now. So that's all that matters. So.
If you hear me coughing, I'm sorry. I'll try to turn away. I'm not completely cured, healed, removed of my herpes, but it's getting there.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's definitely getting better. But yeah, it had us down for a little bit. But,
sorry.
Shit happens. It's all good. So we just keep it moving. Anywho, just to back it up one step, thank you for all of that feedback on the sex podcast. Woo, man.
Man, I'll tell you what, I was shocked at the stuff people would share with me. People shared it with me privately. I feel like it's important to note that I didn't have a whole lot of interaction publicly, but really, really surprised at how open folks were privately. And we will be using all of that feedback and all of those comments anonymously to do the next part of the sex episode.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm like, yeah. See there, she coughed.
Sorry. See, if I laugh, I choke.
I'm excited and nervous at the same time because y'all don't know what's coming for this
it's
third one.
It's a lot of strong personalities coming.
Yeah.
And people who are funny but sharp.
Yes.
And I think it's going to be fun.
I might need a Red Bull and a shot of vodka or something.
Yeah. We might need to have like a mediator on site just to keep everyone under control when we start to fight, because it's going to be an incendiary discussion.
Yeah, this one's going to be fire.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It kind of started this weekend at the restaurant we were in.
Yeah, well, hey, that's how it is sometimes. So, but yeah, hey, thanks for the feedback, y'all. Remember, you can hit us up on Facebook. You can hit us up on Twitter. Someone had asked about the Twitter handle.
EFS Podcast. That's your Twitter handle.
Yes, and our Facebook is
EFS Podcast. Same thing with the email.
There we go.
EFSpodcast@gmail.com. So if you guys want to talk to us and you don't want to put it public, you can absolutely send us an email. Actually, funny story, I got an email from a dummy account. And I realized it quickly because it was like, what a strange email address, but it was clearly somebody who had listened, and I would even say knows me based on the verbiage of the email.
Okay.
So somebody wanted to stay totally anonymous, which is, I'm good with that. We understand it's a topic that not everyone's comfortable talking about. I also got a little bit of negative feedback.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of people who shouldn't have listened. And by that, I mean, if my children were asked to be on a sex podcast, I would not listen because I don't want to know.
Right.
So some people who probably just didn't need to listened, and they weren't quite ready for me talking about double penetration.
The things that are coming out of your mouth. Yeah.
As opposed to going in.
Yeah, exactly.
So, if you have sensitive ears, this is really probably not the podcast for you to be in.
You would have found that out on podcast number 1.
But if you have sensitive ears and are, a very conservative person, and the stuff that we say you find to be, extreme, intense, overwhelming, whatever those things are, but yet you still listen, I appreciate that, because I can appreciate different points of views.
Absolutely.
So I got a couple of negative things. I'll share those too privately. I won't share the who's, but the next podcast is going to be, well, that's not going to happen next. That one we got to set up because we got a lot of schedules to make happen. But
right.
Yeah, we're excited.
But we do have a couple of fire podcasts coming.
Yes.
I'm talking a couple of some bomb ass podcasts, y'all.
We've got some fun guests coming up. I'm excited.
We got some fun guests coming, and two of them were completely like sideways to it, because it was like, Are you serious? You want to do it?
That's real.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So, but we'll save that. We'll let you guys know as it approaches. We're probably going to be recording one around the May 22nd time, somewhere around there. Yep. That one will be a big surprise for a lot of people, I think.
It'll be fun.
Yep. Looking forward to that.
Yep.
And then we will follow up Sex 3. I think it's like Sex 2.
Yeah, it's communication, 2B, if you will.
Yeah.
But, it all ties in. But so we've gotten great feedback about having guest hosts, and we've enjoyed that. So, we hear you. It's not only going to be Alton and I talking about life,
right?
Or things that suck or things that are good, whatever the case may be. We heard you. We will bring some more guests on. And we'll make that like a rotating thing.
Yeah.
We actually got great feedback about both Caleb and Ashley joining us. So again, thank you both, because I know that one of you was totally game and one of you was really hesitant, and I appreciate that you came out here and you trusted us.
That was big. Yeah. Because, this is not everybody's platform.
No, it isn't.
I mean, as soon as we put this thing out for the first time, I got, handful of people that were like, you guys curse too much. You guys curse too much. And it's like, shit, my mama even said, my mama was like, I believe
she said she didn't know you cursed that much.
Yeah, but she's heard me curse quite a bit, but it's part of my DNA.
My folks taught me how the fuck to curse, so.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's just part of my DNA. I don't know. Anywho, what's on the agenda today?
So, because of us kind of getting a little bit thrown, we weren't as, I don't want to say as prepared, but we didn't have like a subject beforehand. We threw out some ideas, and Alton wasn't feeling some of them, and some of them were going to require a little more research. We like to have like an idea,
Yeah.
And then have a little bit of content to put towards it, and then context to apply. So, we decided today to talk about self-image. and that can go into a lot of spaces. So I've got a couple of guided spaces to start with, and we'll see where it takes us.
We'll roll with it.
But, anytime that you're talking about things about self, I think it's really, really important to have a space that is solely carved out for you. We've discussed this in happiness. We've discussed this in relax, previous episodes. And because it's important, it's going to move into different facets and different areas of your life. So today we're going to talk about some self-image. And I'll start with a question, and we'll build it up from there.
Go.
All right. AK.
Yo. What
is the first thing you notice about a person? Doesn't have to be woman, doesn't have to be man. Just first thing you notice about them.
I would say I kind of have a feeling it matters, for one, if it's a man or woman. But I would think that the first thing I'm going to notice is their general appearance, right? How is this person projecting themselves?
Carrying themselves.
Yeah, exactly. I think that goes for both. Actually, I think it's more towards the man. And the reason why I say that is because I was just at a job site, and I was grabbing myself something to eat, and this guy walks up. I can't see him. All I can do is hear him. And all he's saying is, "Oh, yeah, this fucking I fucked it up."
At work?
And this is at a job site. So, this is construction 101.
Language there. Yeah,
construction 101, right? And he's just cursing up a storm, and he's,
he was big man.
He was like, puffing out his chest as he's talking. I can't see him. I turn and I look at him. And the very first thing I notice is that his entire neck is a giant tattoo with a bird on the side going up his ear. It's the very first thing I noticed. So I do believe that the quick appearance, as in, what are they wearing? What do they look like? How's their stature? To a woman, I think probably the very first thing I look at is their face. I look at a woman's face, and
as a straight man, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I look at her face. That's the very first thing I look at. What about you?
For me, the first thing I would notice about a man are his hands. I'm very particular about men's hands. I cannot stand long, dirty fingernails. So if a man has really kind of shitty, non-cared for hands, whether I like to admit it or not, because we all like to sit around saying we're not judgmental, but I think that we are.
Is that are you like looking at that first?
Yeah.
So a guy walks up, you turn around, he's standing right there. Hey, how you doing?
Hands first.
You're looking down at his hands. He may think you're looking down at something else.
Well,
I'm just saying.
If he's got long, dirty fingernails, then he's going to be sad about my reaction to looking down at his idea of something else. Because one thing about me, if you don't know me, I'll tell you this: I have zero poker face.
I know that one for a fact. Yeah, zero poker face and no filter. I
have some filter.
Yeah, like 0.2%.
All right, it's a baby filter, but I have one. It might cover my pinky toe.
That's about it.
So men's hands and then shoes. My dad military, my grandfather military, uncle military, and that was something that was important for them. And
shoes.
It's something I pay attention to. I understand every now and again everyone's going to run around in some shitty sneakers, but by and large I'm going to look at shoes. The tattoo thing is different for me because I don't always look at a tattoo as a like yay or a nay for a judgment, but that does depend on one thing.
What's that?
I do have a tendency to have a stronger reaction to face tattoos. It's just not. I get that that's like the new thing that all these kids are doing, and I genuinely don't understand why you would mark up your face.
I don't get it.
I just don't get it.
I'm not saying that it's bad or whatever, but I don't see the good in a face tattoo.
Correct. I think that in this conversation about self-worth, I think that when you start to tattoo stuff to your face, I do personally believe there is a lack of self-worth there, whether in that moment they know it or not. Because in that moment, it might be an act of rebellion. It might be an act of fuck you, whatever the thing is. And it might feel like it's a real, middle fingers up kind of a thing. But I do believe that what you do when you're 18, 19, and I'm saying 18 because that's the legal age to get tattoos, and we all know I wasn't 18 when I got my first tattoo. But I say 18 and up because that's the age. We all know that what we do at 18 is different than what we do at 25 is different than what we do at 30. Well, most people.
Some people, yeah.
So, yeah, I had somebody come in today to apply for a position and literally covered in tattoos, face, neck, ears, knuckles, gold grills, full facial piercings, no eye contact, barely able to string together a sentence. And I think that if you had taken any one of those things separately, you might be able to get past it, But when you put them all in combination,
right,
you're probably not going to get hired on in an office. And hey, for most people, that's not what they want. But this person was there to apply.
Yeah.
For an office job.
Bubbles is blowing up the spot. Yeah. A buddy of mine told me to try yogurt.
Woof. That is gnarly. I barely restored my sense of smell, and that got me. My eye is tearing up.
Wow.
You a
buddy of mine told me
plain yogurt.
Jake. Yeah, he said get some yogurt. Well, he said it didn't matter plain or whatever. But yeah, like a teaspoon of yogurt in their food. And he said that he had the same issue with his dog, but
Frenchies. He has Frenchies.
No, he doesn't have a Frenchie. This was just I don't know what kind of dog he had, but it wasn't a Frenchie. But he said that he did the same thing. Said the food was creating some monstrous gas, and I guess they heard it somewhere. They tried it, and boom, instantly it worked.
It's important to know she eats an ultra clean diet. My dog does too. And oftentimes with ultra clean diets come,
side effects.
Not so clean side effects.
Yeah. So,
okay,
but yeah, the face tattoo thing, I totally get that. The combination of facial piercings, tattoos, all that stuff. Then you probably throw in some purple hair and throw in some gold grill.
That was a lot.
Don't make eye contact. Yeah.
There was a lot happening.
You weren't trying to get a job,
I didn't get that impression, even though she was there, unannounced without an appointment, but whatever.
Yeah.
In women, and this is a space where I think two things. Number one, I think I have a different approach to another woman's beauty than a lot of women. I know a lot of women who are either not self-confident enough or just straight up fucking haters. Like, I know a few of you bitches are haters. Some of my own bitches. But I am the first one to tell another woman who I think is pretty, if she's pretty or if there's something in particular that stands out about her appearance. I'm very, very quick to give a compliment to another woman. And I also think my part B to that statement is why so many of the people that I know think I'm a lesbian, because there's no, I have no qualms with just stopping a beautiful woman and saying you are gorgeous or whatever the thing is that I think is good looking about them and telling them. So for me, the first thing I notice, honestly, for women is usually their skin. And that's not a judgment to people who have skin issues. It's just something that I take special care of. And so if another woman has great skin, I am almost always either going to ask what her regime is or give her a compliment about it. I'm a big fan of beautiful, good, well taken care of, hydrated, glowing skin.
This makes me think. So what is the initial thing that you love about a man when you first see him? So right now you're looking at hands to kind of figure, let me see his hands.
Right.
So now
he's got nice hands, right?
Say his hands are perfectly fine. What is that thing that you look at that is like the number one to a guy that say it's a kudo point for that person?
Like it's going to get my attention.
Yes. This.
I want to say a good smile because that is important. And by smile, I mean nice teeth. Like I'm sorry to those of you who were born with the dental impairments. But if you got a window or your shits are flipped up on top of each other, or you just got an unusual case of bad gum to tooth ratio, I'm probably going to, because, the thought is, where you going to put that mouth, right? Not on me. So I want to say smile. That's a
smile,
big one. Yeah. You want men who put on fucking chapstick. You don't want that. You remember that old Malik Yoba That man was
Ooh.
fine, but you remember every time you
New
saw
York
him on New York
Undercover.
Undercover, his lips were so crusty. Wasn't there no hair and makeup people on that show?
I don't know. That show was dope, though.
That show was dope, but
yeah.
what's with them crusty ass lips he had?
I don't
He
know.
looked like he just came from craft services eating a powdered donut every episode.
Or smoked a whole thing of crack.
That's
you
not
know?
the business. But I realized something about myself. I don't really have like a general type when it comes to men. Like if you look at my dating past, there's no rhyme or reason. But I found one thing that the men that I've dated all have in common.
What's that?
They have this sort of, I want to say like an almond shaped eye. You know, it's a very particular eye shape, and for whatever reason, that seems to have moved across most of the men that I've involved myself with. Yeah, I like a good eye shape. I like good eyes.
Okay.
Don't care about the color.
Yeah.
And usually, you dudes are blessed with way better lashes than you deserve.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm not
Some
bitter.
of us are. So, well, me, I think one of those things that gives brownie points or kudos points or whatever for a woman, for me, is some sense of style. You know, I'm not talking about, you know, you got to be a fashion model or anything, but I do appreciate a woman that tries to put something together.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
Even if it's a miss, you know what I mean? The fact that you care enough to want to not just be the plain Jane all the time.
I gotcha.
But you know, you whip it up a little bit, and you know, got the hair did. And,
She whip it up and you whip it out.
yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go.
So to bring it all back to our own self-worth, because we were looking out at the things that we noticed, but I think the things that you notice are things that either you like about yourself or you yourself take care of. You know what I'm saying? So, Alton, what do
Yes.
you like about yourself? And
Damn.
this could be anything. This doesn't have to be appearance. It could be anything. Just and it can be small or it could be huge. You know what I'm saying? What do you like about yourself?
Okay, so if it's non-appearance, I like to talk, and I think a lot of people know that about me. I like to talk to random ass strangers. I like the fact that I can communicate with people. And that has not been something that I was just blessed with. It is something that I have worked on for a very long time. And I know I was not the best communicator, and I'm probably still not now. But I have learned through past interactions with people and things how to present things a little better, how to soften ending to a story, how to y'all. I was bad. You know, I'd be telling a story and the whole room is into it, and then I'd be like, yeah, and then he died. Yeah.
No. It'd be like, and then their head got lopped off, and they did.
Yeah.
Story over the end, and you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
I was invested in these people.
Yeah.
And for real, true talk, they did. They did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we had to work on that.
So yeah, I think that I like the fact that I can talk to all kinds of people.
Your openness.
Yeah, and have a great conversation and get to know who these people are. And I think at times I'm pretty fucking funny. I'm just a fool sometimes.
Same.
And it's not all the time. It's just you got to get me at the right time at the the right moment, and it just kind of all comes together. I think it's more of when I'm comfortable with you.
I'm always a fool.
Yeah, when I'm comfortable, then.
But I think I'm pretty funny too, and a special kind of funny, but like smart assy funny.
Yeah, and that's the truth right there. Very smart assy.
All right, so you gave me something about you that you liked. Do you have anything about how you look that you like? Tell me something you like about how you appearance, if you will.
Oh man, I used to love my hair. When I had hair back then.
Damn.
I used to love my hair. Something that I like, I don't think I have a horrible smile. I think my smile's okay.
There you go.
I have always liked my eyes. I've always gotten compliments about my eyelashes, which, damn dog is just... She's up under the table,
We're going to have to open a window.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But yeah, I like that. Oh, I got a big old booty. So that's another thing. Fuck. Time out.
We'll be back.
Hang on. Bubbles. Damn.
Jesus God.
Woo. Lord.
Yo, the plants are dying.
Shit.
Oh God.
Okay.
Okay.
Whew.
Your dog just took about 2 years off my lifespan.
Man, I might have lung cancer after that shit. Whew. Gosh. Sorry, y'all. I was talking about my big old booty, and then Bubbles was dropping one on us. But yeah, that's whew. Whew, man.
Jesus Lord. Ooh. Okay. So in that vein, tell me something about yourself you don't like.
I definitely need to lose some weight. I have a tendency of procrastinating, and I know it. And I think it's partly because I thrive on pressure, and thrive on like, here comes the deadline, you got to hurry up, get it done, and then I end up sliding into getting it done, and so yeah, I think that is one of the things I do not like about myself. That's the only thing I can really think of, to be honest with you. I'm sure there's lots of stuff, but that right there is the one that pops up in my head right away.
Okay.
So
your answers were actually really good in the sense that I would say you're probably a person who has a decent self-esteem. And the reason that I asked that is because I'll answer these questions too, and this will make a little more sense. But typically when you ask somebody what they like about themselves, I think this is probably really much worse for women. There's a lot of self-deprecation and what I don't like about myself, or making fun of, I'm so guilty of this, making fun of the things about myself I don't like so that nobody else can beat me to the punch, right?
Yeah.
But then the next question would have been, would you say that to your best friend or daughter? Would you say to your best friend or daughter she needs to lose some weight?
I wouldn't say it in that sense, but I'd bring it up. If I looked at it like,
It was
but
serious
it's very
health issue.
unhealthy, how can I help you? Let's do it together. That's me. Let's do it together. Hell, I could use it too. Or something. I wouldn't want to try to put it across like an attack,
right?
Because that's what a lot of people do, right? A lot of people, if you brought something up like that to them, they almost take it as an attack, and I think it's more like a self-defense kind of deal. You know what I mean?
Well, I think even with the gentlest of approach, the best of intentions, and the kindness heart space that you could be coming from, you run the risk of somebody being offended by that. Because the truth of the matter is that even if it were your own daughter, you wouldn't necessarily know if there was a major health issue, that's causing that, a medication she's taken that's causing it. Anything with weight loss is just such a slippery, dangerous slope because you don't always know all the details.
Right.
But for the most part, we don't get to 700 pounds because we have a thyroid issue.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's certainly a level of gaining weight that 100% does happen. But, when you talk about moving into that kind of a space, you're talking about consuming, 40,000 calories a day, and that ain't your thyroid. Now, I'll take my turn. What do you like about yourself? Personality wise, I like that I have the ability to get to know people on a much deeper level than your average person.
Yes. Yeah, I know that one.
I'm not a fan of surface relationships, and I don't have a whole lot of interest in them, and I also don't really know how to function in that space, which is why I'm really bad at small talk. I'm really bad at like civil and social cordialities. I like people who randomly wave to each other and say hello. Hey, how are you? I might nod, but that interaction to me is so useless.
That's me.
I don't get it.
That's what I do.
I don't get it.
You know what it is?
To me, it's so wasteful.
You know what it is for me? It's creating a comfortable space. That's really what it is.
I totally get that. Makes sense.
You break any type of anything just like with a smile, say, hey, good morning as you walk by or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just for me, I don't like negative. I don't like negative people. I don't like negative energy. I don't like negative anything.
Right.
And so as best I can, I always try to keep things in a positive, or I try to keep around me positive at all times as much as I can.
Right.
But then you'll hear me curse up a storm, motherfucker, but
Right.
you know, but that's me venting about something, or that's me making a joke of something. But my surrounding, I always want positive. And so for me,
so you think that if somebody were to come into an office in the morning and just go straight to their desk and go to work and not necessarily roll their eyes or have it, just get to work, you think that that person's negative because they didn't say good morning to you?
No, but if I went over and happened to see them because I'm working over there, I had to go to the copy machine, and I say, hey, good morning, you know, and if that person didn't say anything back.
What if they nodded and acknowledged your good morning?
I think that's rude.
You do.
Yeah.
See, this is where he and I are very, very, we joke about how we're so similar, but we're so opposite. To me, like, your good morning does not, I don't owe you that. That doesn't mean that it's not a good morning. That doesn't mean that you weren't being friendly. That means that I might not be having a good morning. And I don't owe anyone that response because it makes them comfortable. Me acknowledging it with a nod and maybe even a little bit of a half smile, to me, like if I said good morning to somebody, which doesn't happen that morning, let me keep it real with you. Anything, good morning, hi, how are you, like whatever. And they didn't respond or they gave me kind of a nod, I'm good with that, you know, or even look me dead in my eyes. As long as they're not rolling their eyes and giving me the finger, I'm going to acknowledge that something happened. But I also would acknowledge if nothing happened that it might not be a good morning for them. And I'm not entitled to that response. And so that's hard for me. It's a very difficult. It's why office work has been difficult for me. I don't necessarily. Here's a great example. I walk into my office, right, and it's like, "Hey, good morning. How are you?" And I'm like,
yeah, that's a little too much.
Right. But if I don't respond to that, what's wrong, bitch? Nothing's wrong. Mm-hmm. Nothing's wrong. I just might not be able to match that energy, and frankly speaking, I don't have to. Yeah. That makes you feel better. It doesn't necessarily mean I have to go out there and put a stamp on it to validate that thing in you. And it's a hard space because people will say, oh, well, that's manners. People will say, oh, that's, you know, it's what's accepted and appreciated societally speaking. But for me, I don't care. For me, I don't have an interest in those sort of gratuitous exchanges. That particular person I'm talking about, who every morning is like, at the top of their lungs, has talked some of the most shit about me in that office. You see what I'm saying? So, and this is before I gave a shit to give her the response or not. This is just the kind of person she is. So what's my win by giving her that? So to keep in this self-worth thing, I have enough self-worth to not give a fuck if she likes me. When it comes to work stuff, she gets what she needs from me in a timely fashion with all respect, civil cordiality, kindness, anything. My emails are polite, they're professional. They might not be hella friendly, hope you have the best day ever. No, they might not be, but she's going to get what she needs to make us function in a workspace. I don't feel compelled to go beyond that.
Well, that sucks. That sucks. I mean, my office, it's almost like the personalities can all work together without feeling anything. In other words, when I'm going back to the example that you had, so someone comes around the corner and says good morning, right, and you gave the look or a nod, didn't say nothing, right,
a nod,
and then the three people that are standing there kind of heard it and kind of saw. In my mind, that's creating the environment. It's creating the workspace where we're all at. And I think that gives people a snapshot like, oh shit, don't fuck with her. Don't.
I don't think that at all.
Yeah, I do.
I would literally, if I walked up past a person who I had not exchanged a gratuitous good morning with and asked them for something for work and they gave me everything that I needed, I'd have no issue.
Yeah, I get that. I'm speaking of the friendly part of it. That's really
There used to be this idea that people who work together like would go out to lunch together and they would exchange information. And I know lots of office work used to be that way. I know that to an extent some of that has changed as we've gotten more PC of what's acceptable outside of work. Blah blah. Me, work is work. I'm there to get work done. I'm not necessarily there to ask you how your day was, how your weekend was. Like I say this with no malice because there is none. I don't care how your weekend was. If we're not two people who are invested in each other, All I care about you is getting what I need to make my job happen.
And that's the opposite of me.
Yeah.
I go to work and it's like, yo, how'd you do on that bathroom you were working on this weekend? And he's like, oh man, I got this far.
Are these people that you have an investment with, or just any old person? If you heard them talking about working on their bathroom, you'd ask them that.
These are the people I work with. These are people in the same office, cubicle away or 2 cubicles away or on the other side. I always walk back around, go to the copy machine. I see these people. So I always make sure I say hello to them, and we just... It's a lot of small talk, and then sometimes they got to ask me a question. So I go over there and say, hey, what's going on? What you need? And
small talk is my struggle.
Hey, how do you do this? Do you know how to do it? I'm like, yeah, I know how to do that. Let me show you how to do it, and then we go over it, and it's like, all right, man, later. I'm going back to the other side now.
Small talk is just not a space that I don't understand it. I don't function well in it. I much prefer to have more profound conversations and connections.
Well, that totally explains you.
It does.
It does, because I don't know if we said it or I said it previously in one of the other episodes, but when I first met Lori, I couldn't fucking stand her. I was like,
that was real talk.
Fuck this bitch. I do not like this woman. Don't want nothing to do with her. Fuck her. That was really...
And that feeling was actually totally mutual.
Yes,
that's the funny thing.
It was mutual. We didn't like each other.
We did not like each other.
And so...
We had very different perceptions of what interaction was supposed to be like.
Actually, I think it was the parenting episode. We kind of touched on this.
Did.
And so... but then I realized just with her, it was if you took the time to get past the smoke screen in the front, or we'll say, the screen door. If you took time to get past the screen door... And then get to know her, then it was a totally different situation. Then the relationship was totally different. But the average person that comes up and bangs on the door, we think you're trying to sell something, and the door doesn't get open.
No.
So anywho,
it's funny that you say that, because that's actually something I think I've said to you before. Is like if somebody doesn't take the time to get to know me, to get through that initial, what they might perceive as unfriendly, and I actually don't perceive it as unfriendly. Like if I walk through the door and you're coming through, I will hold that door open for you. You know what I'm saying? If I see you at the copy machine and the machine is jammed, I will help. I might not have said good morning, but if I see you there struggling with something, I will help you. So I guess that's kind of a conversation about nice versus kind, which has always been a huge pet peeve of mine. I cannot fucking stand people who expect you to be nice. I don't owe you nice for shit. I don't owe anybody nice. Now, kindness, that's a character thing. I am a kind person, but I am not always a nice person, and I don't have any interest in being. And I think that's something that is much heavier of a burden for women than it is men, because I think that women are raised to there's an expectation for women to be nice. You walk down the street and men are like, why don't you smile? You know what? Fuck you, motherfucker. My dog might have just died. I don't owe you shit.
Yeah, I've heard that one many, many times, and I honestly cannot stand when people say things like that. Why don't you smile? Why didn't you this or that? And it's like, man, you don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yep.
On any given day, you don't.
So that's my thing. I think that I like that I get to know people on a surface, more than a surface space. I like that my interactions with people are deeper. Those are the places that I thrive. Those are the places where I feel like my relationships tend to be better. And I'm a better communicator and human in those spaces. Something I like about myself physically, I like my big curly hair. I like that I'm 20 minutes to straight, 20 minutes to big giant curls. And I like my skin. I'm a big fan of my skin. I like my big old booty too, but age and too many drinks has made that not my favorite anymore. You don't want your ass to keep growing left to right. You want that shit to grow backwards, like that file cabinet in Bruce Almighty. That's the kind of ass you want. You don't want to fucking turn sideways to have to get down the aisle in a plane. That's not the kind of ass you want. So those are the things about me I like physically. The things about myself I don't like, I'll tell you a couple things about myself I don't like. I don't like that I have a tendency to be suspicious in general. Mm-hmm. It's my nature to be suspicious of anyone, even people that could be my friend. Like it takes me a minute to not be like, the fuck you want?
to build trust.
Yeah. I say this a lot, and I think people sometimes think it's an excuse, but I really genuinely do believe it is a lot about where you're raised. I grew up in the concrete jungle.
I was gonna say
I come from the
concrete
hood.
jungle. Yeah.
You put your collar up, you look down, you mind your business, you get from A to fucking B, and you keep it pushing.
I'll tell you, the first time I went to New York, I was tripping. I honestly was. I was tripping at the fact that I saw all these kids come out of a building and looks like they had a uniform on, like they came out of school. And some went left, some went right, some jumped in a taxi. Off they went.
Yep.
I was like, what the fuck is going on? And come to find out, that's what it was. School was in one of these buildings. And it's just, and I'm like, well, where's the park? And where's the grass? And where is everything else, you know? And so
the trees are in cages.
That right there is what told me that New York is just different.
It's different.
It's not like the West Coast here.
It's a different energy.
Yeah.
It's a different speed, and you know what? I love New York is home. Like inherently, I am a whole ass New Yorker, and I've now lived outside of New York longer than I lived in it. But I was born and raised there, and I spent 20 years there, and that's me. It's ingrained in me, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes I wish I was a little less suspicious. As far as appearance, something I don't like about myself, I'll be honest with you. I don't have any sort of issues with this thing. It's this one particular one. It's going to make sense for anyone who knows me. I have a big old scar across my face. I don't give a fuck about the scar on my face. What I don't like about myself is that my top lip is crooked. And as you know, you age, your body shifts and your face moves. And as I've gotten older, like I feel like it's more prominent, and I don't like it. And I realize that I don't like it when I happen to do like a front scan of my Instagram page and realize that I legitimately will always choose a side because I'm trying not to let that crooked thing that whether I want to really admit how much I don't like it, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like that about myself.
Yeah, I get that.
As far as a physical thing.
Gotcha.
I think that's about it. I have pretty fucking high self-esteem.
Good.
Yeah, I do. I always have. Listen, if you don't believe your own fucking hype, who's gonna?
Very true.
Right?
Very true.
You think you have good self-esteem?
I think if I rated my self-esteem on 1 to 10, I could honestly say I think my self-esteem is about a 6.5.
That's lower than I thought you would have given yourself.
I think it's 6.5. At times I'm this whole podcast thing for me, I try to be 100% real. I don't care what
it is
the verdict is,
right,
or whatever, or what people think, but that is a thing about myself that I wish I could build that up a little more, you know, just for the simple fact that I know I feel it at times. You know, I feel it that I feel like I should be able to do more, and I think what holds me back is my self-esteem.
Interesting.
You know,
I've known you for a really long time, and that statement surprised me.
Behind the scenes, I think I'm great. I think I'm that dude who, you know, oh, what are we doing?
Right.
Well, fuck it, I'm gonna get us there. Let's go.
Right.
You know, I that's me. I'll do it. I'll make it happen and do it. But now we go up to the front row, and we're gonna, you know, do something that I know I'm good at or I'm great at.
Right.
Do I have the self-esteem to push that forward and be like, hey, let me show you, or it's a hit and miss for me. So that's why I think about a 6.5 for me.
Interesting. And so tell me what you think you could do to have better self-esteem.
Well, for a long time I had this huge fear of talking in front of people. And so one of the things I did was I became a fitness instructor. And because I had to get on stages.
And so the beginning of Alton and Lori becoming friends started right there.
Yeah, and so that was one of the things. I was on a fitness journey at the time.
Can we get back on that journey?
I know. Shit. But I
got all the way off that road.
I was on a journey at the time, and I looked at it like, oh, I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You know, I can go ahead and get certified and start teaching myself, and that will put me in front of large groups of people.
Right.
I have to choreograph stuff. I got to instruct people. I have to take control of a room. So I took my fitness instructing as a thing to try and teach me to be on stage,
In front
talk
of
in front of
people.
people, direct people, instruct
gotcha.
people. You know, I looked at it as a lesson. Well, it didn't really work out that way. When it came to fitness, I felt like I was a damn good instructor.
I would say yes. I took many of your classes and cursed you out tremendously.
Yeah, I felt like I was a really good instructor, but it didn't quite translate over to my business, you know, or my job, you know, to where I have to do a presentation in front of an owner of a hospital, and I got to present to them why they want to go with my building automation system and what's so great about it and how we're different. And I still find myself struggling with that for a little bit, at least until I calm down. I just get so damn amped up about it.
You get in your head.
Yeah, I do. I know I do. And it's like I have been trying so many different little things to calm myself down, to try and just like ease myself in. But then when you talk to people who were there and they watch it and everything, and said, "Man, you did great." And I'm saying to myself, "Fuck, I was horrible." You know, it was like I wanted to throw up and I couldn't remember my name. You know, that's how bad it feels.
That goes back to that thing I was saying. Would you say that to your daughter? Or I say your daughter because she's your younger child at this point. Your boys are kind of already on the grown side. It's interesting what your inner voice says to you versus the way that you talk to other people. Like I am so guilty of being like, I will be your biggest number one motherfucking cheerleader. Like I'll get you up in the morning. I'll be your fucking Flavor Flav all day long.
Flavor Flav.
Hey, but let me tell you, the voice that I speak to myself in is very different.
Well, what is it?
I think we're all our own harshest critics.
Yes.
I think
I
there's
know I am mine. Definitely.
I think there's a level of balance that you have when you are harsher on yourself, to sort of strive to be better. But I also think that there's a line that you can cross where that inner voice starts to be the louder voice, and you don't give yourself the credit that you deserve, or you don't. Oh yeah, Alton's pointing at himself, and the reason that I mentioned that he's pointing to himself is because it's something I've told him before. I have to learn how to translate that Flavor Flav cheerleader for others into myself sometimes, because I am really hard on myself. And then for me, what happens is that I have, and speaking of self-worth, this is another space we were going to go into. Then it triggers up other things that I struggle with: my battle with anxiety, my battle with insecurity, as far as how deep my depression can get. And then that flares up my inability to sleep. And then it becomes this vicious cycle, because then now I'm not feeling well. Now I'm not sleeping. Now I've triggered up a flare up with my colitis. And so I get myself going from just what's in my head turns into a full physical manifestation of issues.
Right.
And that cycle and that slope, that bitch is hard to climb back up out of.
Yeah, I get it.
And so as much as I have great confidence, I think I have great confidence. I think I have great self-esteem. I know I do. I'm also the person who, when I turn that switch off and I talk to myself in that voice, I'm also the meanest person to myself. And you know what I realized one day, I want to say maybe a year ago, that when I talk to myself in that voice, man, we're about to get real serious in some shit. I hear it in my mother's voice. When
Do you think that's what it actually is?
I don't, because the truth of the matter is that my mom hasn't been around in my adult life enough to be able to say some of those things.
Yeah, but these are the things that are manifested when you're a child, really.
Yes. Yes. I do believe that my own very, very combative relationship with my mom has probably been the greatest thing to shape my personality. And it's also probably the thing that trips me up the hardest and the most.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't even know I was doing that until I went back to therapy, and there was a conversation about that voice in your head. And I realized, I was like, I'm not even fucking talking to myself in my own voice. When I'm really, really kicking myself in the ass, it's not me that I hear. It's my mom's voice.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sorry.
That's some fucking psych shit that nobody wants to delve into, That's that space you just don't want to admit. Like, I'm a fucking grown-ass woman. Is my mommy really still shaping the struggles? Right. And the answer is motherfucking yes. Yeah, my mom was the greatest lesson in what I didn't want to be. And
Well,
as a
but-
result of that,
Sometimes that's what parents give us, you know.
Yeah.
That's the truth. It's
That is.
not everybody is born with the silver spoon, or the parents that are going to take you to church every Sunday and Bible study and just raise the absolute perfect child. You know, sometimes the best lessons you get are from the parents that don't always do right. You know, because now you've witnessed what not doing right is, and so you want to make a change. You know, you don't want to go down that path, so you take the opposite way.
Right.
You know, you learn those lessons without personally doing them, but you did experience them.
right.
So I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's been the thing that shaped the negative space in my life.
Yeah. Well, that negative is strong. You know, it's a little bit of negative can go a very long way. You know, so.
I have to remind myself to control that negative, though.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably the thing that I dislike about myself most on the internal level.
Gotcha.
Is that I have to remind myself, you know, to turn off what it is that I really have that I'm battling versus what I'm doing to make that battle worse.
Right.
So that's my space. But, you know, then on the other side, like, I think I'm a fucking dope ass friend. I think that I'm a great, I do a ton of volunteer work. So, you know, I might not be nice, but I do a lot of work into the space that I live in. So listen, I ain't sitting around here, you know, kicking myself in the ass. I give myself my props. But when that harsh voice turns on, it is a struggle. It remains my greatest battle. Yeah.
Okay.
I know some people who know me might think it's my stink ass attitude, but it isn't, y'all.
So do you think the voice or whatever is also a motivator? It's that thing that motivates. And I want to say this backs up to, bubbles again, y'all. Shit. Yeah. Anyways, it's erasing my memory now.
You said, is it the motivator?
In regard to the motivator, you know how you said earlier that you don't give yourself enough credit, and then I was saying like, I realized that was my tool to motivate myself.
To push.
Yeah, because nothing has ever been good enough. That is how I feel I have gotten to where I'm at. Because I look at things, I come up with a plan on to do something, I do it, and then once it's done, it's like, okay, cool. All right, next.
But okay, so it's a question about that, because I get that. I get using it to motivate you.
That is what I do.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think it's and I think that yes, the answer to that is yes, that I do use that to motivate myself, to be better, do better, strive for better, work harder.
Be best.
But if you don't ever give yourself any credit, which is what you do, if you don't ever look at yourself and say, damn, I did a good job here, or I've done a good thing here, where's the joy in your life?
I know.
That's a joyless space.
That has been one of the things I've struggled with in my life in general. Just actually giving myself some credit for the things I've accomplished. And I think it's because I just have not accomplished the things I want to do at the magnitude I want to see them. I don't strive for something little. I always strive for something large. And so
do you feel that setting those goals up that high is a setup to see some failure?
Well,
or do you feel like they always have to be the highest possible?
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna.
I guess the question is, what's realistic?
I'm not gonna make a goal. Okay, in 2 years I'm retiring. That's not a goal, you know. Or I'm gonna make $1 million.
So you do think your expectations are realistic?
I think they're real, you know, and so, but I think they're real without a lot of error. So, in other words, that goal, if you hit it all just right, then I think that goal happens.
And when it does, do you say to yourself, I've done a great job?
You know what? Very seldom I do. And because you know what I do? If I get there, the first thing I say is, how can I make it better? That is just, it is so
But
ingrained.
you gotta see this. This is so confounding to me because here's the thing that like I'll give some information without giving some information. You gotta understand that this dude has gone to a place a lot of people can't get to, and he did not go your traditional route to do it. It's not like Alton decided to go to some university for 4 years and come out of here with a master's, and yet he's still earning what a lot of people don't. And I mean by a large margin. So where's your credit for that shit?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, so basically what she's saying is I didn't go to college.
I was trying to be gentle in how much information I put out there.
I got you. I'll keep it right there. I did not go to college. I actually was. I think I did a semester or something. I wanted to be a fireman. That was my career path. And then
admirable, dangerous, and not a lot of money.
No, they make good money. But that was going to be my career path. And then some things happened at home. And basically, I needed to get a job. And so what I ended up doing was I talked to my brother. My brother was actually a union electrician. And he told me about, hey, get into the electrical union or sheet metal or whatever. And so I actually ended up becoming a union pipe fitter. And so with doing that, and I did that right out of high school. And so, I went to a 5-year trade school program and learned the trade. But I kind of took a little different route in it and learned basically like a specialty,
right?
And learned how to do building automation instead of like welding and pipe fitting and all that stuff. And it's worked out well. And so now I do.
So you see my point then.
I run a business now.
Where is the generosity to your own spirit there? In saying, yo, I fucking did that.
And what's crazy that now that you're saying this and I'm talking about it, I made a joke 10 years ago.
Okay.
When I sold, I had my own business and I sold it and took a couple months off of work. And then I decided, I need to get a job because I need health insurance, And so I took this job, and I remember during the interview, I told the guy, I said, you know what? One day you're going to retire. You're going to need somebody to give it to. And I was joking. And 10 years, boom, it's mine.
There you go.
You know what I mean? He gave it to me. And so it just, now that you're saying all this, it's kind of like, that was kind of a thing I threw out into the universe, really not being super serious, but in the back of my head, I was like, that'd be cool if I got there,
right?
And I got there, So I should give myself some credit. I'm always just going, and I have a feeling that the day I retire and I'm done, and
you're wearing your tie-dye shirt and your flip-flops,
playing disc golf and shit. Yeah, I'm gonna be sitting there smiling, So
well, as long as the goal is to get yourself the credit at some point, because it's interesting that it required kind of talking it out loud for you to see it. Right?
Yeah.
And so then that becomes the question. Do we need to do that? Do we need to check in with the people that we love and make them walk through it out loud so that they can see what they've done, so they can... It's almost like you don't give yourself the full validation on your own. Mm-hmm. And I really fucking hate that for us, because me personally, I am surrounded by some incredibly dope ass humans. Like, cheers. I legitimately look around and I'm like, the common denominator here is me. These motherfuckers are all different. And before you think I'm being aggrandizing here, hear me out. The common denominator in all these dope people is me. And I'm like, yay, like that's awesome, right? Like I have all of these amazing friendships. And I'm like, how did I end up in the center? And then honestly, I've had this conversation with the Burger Man. I wondered sometimes in my life if things were meant to be more difficult for me and harder for me, so that the people around me get the support they need so they can reach their greatness. Is that my greatness? Am I the great champion supporter?
That's valid. I mean, but I don't think that's it though.
I hope not.
I really don't.
I want some greatness.
No, but I mean, I've known you for a long time, a while now, and yeah, you help out a lot of people in many different ways. Support them in business ventures, support them in just general friendship, someone to talk to. You go above and beyond. I feel, and you do a lot. We talked about it in another episode. We got a lot of irons in the fire. And just from a story you told me a little earlier today about someone who is just doing awesome now and had failed businesses before and all that stuff. I'm one of those believers. I don't want to believe it at times, but I am one of those believers that sometimes you got to fail in order to get where you got to go.
Right.
Because you got to know where the pitfalls are, what mistakes not to make, how to make those things better,
Right.
And sometimes when you have a vision and you're trying to get somewhere, I have been saying this since I'm 15 years old. I swear, 15 years old. A lot of times you make a plan, and your plan is from A to B. You know what? And a lot of
Here
times,
comes Alton.
And a lot of times, what ends up happening is that shit veers way right.
Right.
But that's okay. It can veer right, and it can veer way the fuck left, up, down, at an angle. It doesn't matter as long as you get to B is the goal. Sometimes it's going to take longer than you thought, and sometimes you're going to get there because you found a shortcut. But that's what matters, getting to B. So, anywho, that's I'm all off of this.
No,
chart
you're
here.
not. I get what you're saying, and to tie it all in, and it's weird because I'm like mind boggled at how fast this hour went by. Your self-worth is basically your own sense of I want to say like your own sense of value, right? As a person. And so it's funny, all of the different little things that have to contribute to that self-worth, right?
Yes.
I know plenty of people who are pretty, like beautiful people. And I mean men and women alike who are beautiful and just about as fucking shallow as a puddle, right? Dumber than a fucking box of burnt hair. So no one thing is going to give you a full sense of self-worth. I know people who are wickedly smart, and yet I know one who damn near burned his house down because motherfucker got no common sense whatsoever. So, and it's interesting to have a conversation with him because he really sort of has this great sense of self, right? Because he's so smart and he's had all these great successes and all these things published and all that. But then I'm looking at him like, you dumb. But so when you finally get to that place with him, which I did because like I said earlier, that's the kind of a relationship I'm looking for. It was his biggest insecurity was like, am I just a smart person? Like I have not had a healthy relationship with a woman that's worked out. I have not had children, which I always thought I would have a family. And here I am, XYZ age, and that hasn't happened yet.
Right.
I still live alone, and that's not what I thought was. So it's just so funny how so many facets and pieces come together to make that formula of your self-worth. And again, I'm really tripping at how fast that we've gone through this hour.
I know. And I was going to touch on the other thing that, and I think especially as you get older, you start to realize that then the ones that you think have all of this, really, a lot of them don't.
Shockingly don't.
A lot of them don't. A lot of them struggle like you, if not worse. But on the outside, it looks like this person has everything.
Right.
They're walking around with the chest out,
Right.
like they got
Yes.
it going on. And then once you get an inside look, all of a sudden it's not there, and it's part sad because you look at that person, you create this vision, right? Because you've taken in their posture, their clothes, how they talk. You've kind of put this together like, man, this person's really got it going on,
Right.
And bubbles, and then come
She
to
ain't farting, she's destroying stuff.
and then come to find out that they have a lot of issues, or their self-confidence is not what you imagined it would even be, because what? Oh, she's chewing. Hang on. There we go. Had to bust out the toolbox for her. I call it the toolbox. It's basically her toy chest.
Because she ate the last one.
Yeah, she ate the last toy
She
chest.
actually ate it.
Yeah, so this one's made of metal. so she can't chew it, but she will try and rip on the liner that's in it.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, it's just really interesting because, everybody struggles. And some people's struggles are bigger than others.
Yes.
But that doesn't make that person any less worthy of
Valid.
friendship or
Love.
relationships or
Yes.
any of that. And so I just want to make that point.
It's funny because we've asked for all this feedback for this next episode, and one of the things that I got back as feedback was that some people have never experienced good communication. They've never had that example for it.
Yeah.
And the question that they had was, does that make them any less worthy of being loved and having a relationship? And it was like, oh shit, you don't think about that, because if you don't communicate well with me, that's kind of one of those things that's going to turn me off. And then it's like, at what expense does teaching someone affect your self-worth, right? Because that person is not any less worthy of love because they've never learned good communication. But how much time do you invest in teaching it to someone before it starts to take away and break down at you?
Well, that also goes back to you investing that time and trying to teach self-worth to your own children.
Yes.
Right? I mean, you know what I mean? Because they're not born with those tools.
That's right.
You have to instill those into them. And so, getting them to build self-confidence, I think, is probably one of the biggest things. Because I'm looking at it from not as a adult with another adult. Right. I'm talking about trying to build that adult from childhood.
Right.
But to your point, yeah, if you have another adult, that is a whole nother story.
Yep.
I mean, where you're trying to instill self-worth into another adult, and to teach an adult how to communicate, which is totally doable. It's for those
Agreed.
For
if
those
that person
who want
is open
to do
learning,
it,
yes.
who want to do it.
Yeah, you can't teach a motherfucker who don't think anything wrong with them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting. It's really
the
interesting.
Self-worth conversation was kind of all over the place, but it's funny how there's so many facets of things that contribute to your self-worth.
And a lot of that ties together with so many other things, So,
so what do you guys think of your own self-worth? Would you say that you're on the higher end of the spectrum? Would you say you're on the lower? Would you say that your self-worth comes from the validation outside of you, or does that validation happen inside of you?
Hey, that is a whole nother thing right there.
Yes.
Because I firmly believe that, there is no self-worth if you don't have it in yourself. If you're just getting it from other people, as in
if it's
you're getting
surface stuff.
Yes, if you're getting accolades and you shouldn't be like that because you're so beautiful and you're this and you're that. It means nothing if you don't believe in yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's all out the window. So I think, and that's where being happy in general, right? Being happy in general starts with yourself,
right?
If you can't be happy with the skin you're in and who you are and where you're at, then you won't be happy,
or at least be a work in progress towards happy, right? Because a
doing
lot of us,
something.
a lot of us are in places we don't want to be. But if you're actively working towards changing it, then that's
yes.
So I just realized somebody was asking us about what is your podcast about, or maybe it was even me thinking about it, and I realized that it's everything fucking sucks is very ironic. If you haven't caught that joke yet,
yeah,
I'm gonna stay over here in my quiet judgmental space. But everything fucking sucks is more along the lines of the real truth is what we're about is humanity. And as humans, humanity, what we're facing every day, what we see in the news, what we see when we look in the mirror, what we see when we get a paycheck, what we see when we open the door to our home, what we see when we open the door to our vehicle if we have one, all of those things contribute, right? And so I realized just now that what we're really ultimately about is humans, is real humans. That fabric of good and bad and strong and weak and sensitive and beast mode and broken and hard and all those things that makes us all who we are and what we are and how the fuck we get through the day. And the truth is that most of the day is intensely frustrating.
Yeah.
And so that's where the irony of everything fucking sucks comes, because I think it's tremendously beautiful when we talk about these things. You know, we open ourselves up, we talk about ourselves, but then you all jump in and you share stuff with us.
Yeah.
You know, that comment I made about, you know, is somebody who lacks communication skills not worthy of love? Like, I was like, yo,
That was deep. That was deep.
that's real talk.
Yeah.
That made me stop and go,
Yeah.
oh, am I guilty of this?
Yeah.
Am I guilty of
when you read it, I was like, "Ooh,
yes,
yeah, that's a good one."
So, you know, what are the things that you attribute to your own self-worth? Are they successes? Are they money? Are they appearances? Are they love? Are they children?
Yeah.
Are, you know, what are the things? Share with us, and then tell us the things that you do to improve on your self-worth, the things that you've used to make your self-worth better. Because this whole thing that we're doing is about the conversation.
True.
It's about the interaction.
Yeah, true.
And I know some dope ass people, so I expect some of you motherfuckers to interact.
I hear you. Well, I think.
Wait. Before we go, I have our positive.
bad.
I saved it. This will be a quick one. But in light of the fact that today is Teacher Appreciation Day, okay? I know a ton of teachers. I have my third grade teacher, Miss Drazen. If I'm being 100% honest about where my life went, it was as a result of my third grade teacher, Mrs. Drazen. As difficult as things were, I think she realized when I was a child how bad things were at home. And it is that human being that when I was making my efforts and striving to be better and to overcome where I was from, it was her motivation that got me there. Third grade, Mrs. Drazen. I don't know if she's still around, but I loved her. So I found some good news today, in keeping in this teacher thing. An Arizona teacher posted her salary, and she kind of did this breakdown of where her money goes for her classroom. And it was pretty shocking. Her salary was $35,000 a year, which obviously is not a tiny chunk of change, but it ain't great. And she has to pay for all these additional supplies because, you know, the schools are just strapped right now. And her post went viral. Her post about all of the struggles and the things that she needed in her classroom went viral. And where we're going to get our positive is a stranger in New York who saw the viral post, reached out to her and asked her if anyone had offered to buy her the supplies she needed for her classroom, and she responded no. And based on her Amazon wish list, he bought her every single thing on her supply list, and has actually done that for them a few times. The kids have started to call him their New York friend. They have no idea who this person is.
That's awesome.
But they get these supplies, and it just makes their learning experience better. It makes the energy and the positivity in that room better. And my understanding is that he's done the same thing for 5 other teachers in other schools.
Man.
So whoever you are, New York stranger, you're the positive of the week. You're the person who's put a smile on my face. I know that New Yorkers get terrible, terrible reputations for being cold motherfuckers, and obviously your anonymous donation proves that is not true. So kudos to you, sir.
Yeah, the whole teacher and school thing, man. It's one, they don't get paid enough money. That's a given.
Not at all.
I mean, you know, if you think about it, if you have any children, you know, your child spends more time with a school teacher
than they do with you.
Yes.
True talk.
Yes. And so you would think that you would want that teacher to have all the tools to teach your children. They would have all the supplies to where they don't have to worry. A lot of times teachers end up buying the supplies out of their own pocket. And they do not, the majority of them do not get reimbursed for that. They buy it because their classrooms and the children need it. So, you know, kudos to all the teachers out there.
It turns out, I'm reading further into this story, the stranger's name's actually Ben Adam. And Ben Adam launched something called Classroom Giving, where people can volunteer to provide a classroom anywhere with school supplies. You go straight to an Amazon list. They're not asking you to fundraise money. You can go out and buy things. So if you're interested in staying in that kindness space and doing something generous, Classroom Giving is the website, and you can go ahead and pay for supplies for some classrooms. So it's Teacher Appreciation Day. Do something generous and kind. You don't have to fulfill the whole list, but any little thing helps. So there you go.
All right. Well, that wraps it up.
That's it. We'll see you soon next week.
Yes, next week.
I'll try not to get bronchitis again.
Please. Shit.
And we're gonna get your dog some yogurt. Holy hell!
Yeah, we're getting some. We're getting about 10 pounds of yogurt.
Your girl is killing me tonight.
She
may actually have to edit all of the times we had to stop so we can try to catch our breath.
She killing the plants, the furniture, all of it.
The paint's peeling off the damn walls.
Yeah,
Lord.
it's bad. All right, y'all. Love you.
We'll
Peace.
chat soon. Bye. Bye. I hiccuped. I was like, bing.
Peace.